Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to week 2 of the NFL season. We are here on Birds vs. Boys. K-Mess and Aiden, we're here to talk about week 2. I can't even believe we're here to talk about week 2 already. The offseason took so long, and now it's like, bang, we're in week 2 after a just outstanding, I would say, Aiden, an outstanding kind of Thursday night game, Friday night game, and kind of first half. I'd say the 1 o'clock window was phenomenal, and then I would say kind of the 4 o'clock window and the Monday night game, kind of a little bit of unwatchable. I heard the Cowboys game described as almost unwatchable. I mean, I watched every second of it because, well, that's what I do. But some of the other games, but we had, I would say, the Eagles Packers game was outstanding. The Sunday night game between the Rams and the Lions, outstanding. Chiefs Ravens was a fantastic game, and some of the others in the 1 o'clock window with the Bills game. Jacksonville Miami was a fantastic game. I would say, the Bears were almost a little unwatchable, but that game with the comeback, and then I would say Indianapolis and Houston was awesome too. But wow, we're here. We're back.
We're here. It is crazy how time flies. Like you said, we hit the ground running. There's amazing football, and we're right into it. And we're like, all right, let's do the week 2 preview. Look at all these incredible things that happened over the span of 24 hours in the world of football. I'll take you back to show you how time really flies. If you remember, the first time we ever got to do a recap of a week was 2020 week 1. Both of our teams lost. We were both screaming, yelling, angry, couldn't believe how our teams looked.
Be the team you promised me you'd be.
Yeah. All of our sound clips from this show come from
Yes.
like that first episode of
Yep.
us just going off. Here we are. We're both 1-0. And we did it in pretty impressive fashion. So not only is the NFL back, it feels pretty good for us to be sitting here 1-0 the way we are.
1-0, both of us on top of the division. And I would say after 1 week, we look pretty head and shoulders above the other two teams in the division.
Oh my goodness. I did picks for this week and I was leaning Vikings and I was like, you know what? Let me just give the Giants a win. I think I did the same with the Panthers too. I was like, let me throw out a charity. Maybe they'll get one. No, they are as bad as advertised. It is crazy. And, we thought like at some point the tide has to turn, right? Parity of the league, Commanders, Giants, like they'll overtake us at some point. I'd argue, aside from like the Lions, is there anybody in the league feeling better than like an Eagles or a Cowboys fan right now?
Maybe the Niners. I think that was a pretty
True.
impressive win. They smothered the Jets, did it without McCaffrey. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I know we're gonna mainly talk about week 2 in this episode. You and I each did our own recap shows, so make sure you head to Birds vs. Boys on YouTube if you're listening to this, or if you're watching this, you can head back to the homepage, smash the subscribe button, and then watch my recap of the Cowboys and Aiden's recap of the Eagles. But one thing I did want to touch on in week 1, it's like, I would say usually the Giants probably don't start at like 1 o'clock on a Sunday, right? A lot of the times it's a Sunday night game
Playing you.
against Dallas. They do have a massive fan base. The New York media is huge, but they were like, nope, we're starting at 1 o'clock because it's the 100th season. They're wearing these god awful uniforms. They did have a pretty sweet logo in the middle of the field, but they had like every Giant of all time there, like the oldest people you've ever seen in life. It looked like the the British Empire was there. All the old people that Prince Charles, like that's what it looked. Tom Coughlin looked like. They were all there. It was family friendly. All these people came with all their families. They paid billions of dollars to be there. They honored all of them, and then Daniel Jones stepped on the field, and that happened.
And not only was he bad, they cut into red zone to show Sam Darnold's first incompletion because he went almost 2 full
Yes.
quarters without throwing one. So if you're doing like overreactions from week 1 before we get into the week 2 of the show, the one has to be that the Giants, Saquon's not going to score 3 touchdowns every week. But
Mm-mm.
that was worst case scenario. They looked
Mhm.
worse than advertised. The defense wasn't good. And oh, yeah, all the viral clips of Saquon leaving in your HBO Hard Knock show came back to bite you within literally less than a half of week 1. So they could not have gone worse. Is it
And
rock
then
bottom? Like it's not as bad as it seems always for no matter what team it is, unless you're the Panthers. But man, if you're doing overreactions, that went poorly.
And post game, you have your franchise quarterback who you paid rather than paying Saquon Barkley walking out of the stadium, literally getting booed and fans asking for millions from him because he was so bad. And then you had Thibodeau being not answering questions. He looks like he has a half a foot out the door ready to try and get traded. And then Malik Neighbors, your new franchise wide receiver, basically throwing Daniel Jones under the bus. Like, yeah, I'm trying to run all the best routes I can, get open for him so we can have completions. It looks like he already wants out of New York as well. This is you and I right now in this exact moment, seeing what happened to the Giants, also seeing the Commanders lose in fantastic fashion, and Baker Mayfield looking like an MVP. We are the quintessential meme of you and I on the swing set with the house burning down next to us.
Yes.
We are the kid on the swing set.
We are
The
also
Eagles or the Giants and the Commanders are the house burning down.
that is a great reference. Or also the Hot Ones episode where they're like, look at us. Who would have thought? Not me. Like both of us had all these questions. Then week one played out and we're like, all right, we're kind of back
Okay.
where we hope to be.
Mm-hmm. So we are here. We are both 1-1, and now it is time to look forward to week 2. Dallas Cowboys, who seem to, Aiden, I think Tom Brady is going to be on the call week 2, and then apparently he's going to be on the call again week 3 for the Cowboys. I think I'm going to have to listen to Tom Brady 12 times this year.
I am so disappointed. I thought he was going to be so good. And listen, maybe nervous. I'd be nervous. Sometimes I trip up on my words here on this podcast between us two. I can't imagine doing a nationally broadcast game.
Yep.
I felt bad. It was like rigid and rough, like you
Awkward.
said. You'll have them a few more times. Also, one more thing. You ever stare at something so long you don't even realize it? Like there was one spot in my house, it was like dirty in a corner, and I stared at it for so long I didn't even realize like, oh, there's dust there. Like, I need to clean this.
Yep.
That's how I feel about the Eagles and Cowboys schedule. We just play the NFC South for a month.
Yep.
You know,
literally.
I looked at it for so long and didn't even realize like we play the NFC South 3 straight times. You play the Saints this week. We're just playing the NFC South until October.
Yeah, with for us the Ravens sprinkled in there as well, which is not fun.
Not fun, but still, it's like all right, played one game right into into the NFC South. So you're right, Brady on the call. Maybe it's just nerves. That's my hope.
I'm a Greg Olsen guy, so
I'll be honest, as a Phillies fan, Joe Davis is like the second most important man in my life behind my dad. So him and Greg Olsen together, that might be my favorite broadcast crew amongst any station, even the big dogs.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. There's just so much going out there in terms of what's happening in the NFL, right? And former players now getting in the media. I don't know if you've seen what Justin Pugh is doing, the former New York Giant first round pick. Like he has a podcast. He's awesome, but he's going to like every Thursday night game. He was in the Chiefs this week, and he's trying to find like the best fan base in the NFL. And he's just partying with them, going in the stands, filming it all. I love where the NFL is right now.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like the game is in such a good place. We're going to get another game probably next year. They're taking over Thursday night, Friday night. We're taking over Christmas, Black Friday. It's just, I'm here for it because it goes so fast.
I'm very
all
much
the
here
content
for it.
possible.
I'm very much there for that idea. I thought Jason Kelsey might do that in his retirement, is go from fan base to fan base, experience it, turn it into a show. So I love that concept. I'll definitely be checking that out. I didn't get to catch the Kansas City one, although I saw him tweet that it was phenomenal. The Thursday night game this week is Dolphins Bills. I'm correct? Is it in Buffalo or is it in Miami? Because if it's in Buffalo, to be 2 weeks into the show and get to do Kansas City and then Buffalo. Wow.
Yeah, because if it's in Miami, don't speed by the stadium, Justin.
God
it is
forbid,
in Miami.
don't put your window back up if they pull you over.
It is in Miami.
Okay. Still, I mean, hey, I'm not going to complain about a Miami
I have
vacation.
A feeling you can have some fun
but
there. I think you can have some fun.
But it is cool concept. Very good things going around football. And we're on to week 2. Let's start with your game first because we're Monday Night Football. So chronologically, let's talk a little Cowboys Saints.
Yep. So
In the
both
Superdome,
teams,
correct? Or no?
huh?
In the Superdome or no?
No, first home game in
Okay,
Dallas.
that does
In
make sense.
Dallas, 1 o'clock. Both teams 1-0. Saints coming off I think we can say an absolute ass beating of the
Yes,
Panthers. Um, I think the Bryce Young trade might go down as the worst trade in sports history.
it might.
He
It
he
truly
looks
might
like he can't play football. Now Caleb Williams struggled. Rome Odunze might be
hurt.
hurt, but I think they're gonna figure it out, and I think we know where that's going. And then I think we also know the way the Panthers are going. I don't see some miraculous turnaround. But Derek Carr did throw for 3 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara had 83 yards and a touchdown. I'm very interested to see what happens in this game, right? Dallas, I think, is let me see what they are in terms of, I
Definitely
think
a
they were,
favorite. Can I guess?
yeah, you can guess. I do have it. Yep.
4.5.
6.5.
I was gonna say 5.5, and I lowered it. Damn it.
So, I mean, basically a touchdown favorite, which I think
How how
they should be.
crazy is that though? The Saints put up 47 in week 1. It was never a contest, and they are
Mm-hmm.
a touchdown underdog in week 2.
Crazy on the road in Dallas. But I think that just shows you almost the turnaround, I guess, in people's minds, maybe of the Cowboys after 1 week. A lot of websites and everything had them ranked like 15 to 17. Now they're jumping up to like 6 or 7. Um, Listen, I thought they played very well in week 1, right?
Yeah.
But I also think the Browns played very bad in that game. I don't think the Browns offense could have been worse. I don't think Deshaun Watson could have been worse. Now, listen, a lot of that had to do with Mike Zimmer's defense and Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence, and Trayvon Diggs looked like peak Trayvon Diggs, like he had no issues.
Mhm.
But the offense sputtered in the second half, right? Dak looked very good in the first half. There were some very nice drives. Zeke looked like he had some wiggle and some pop and some juice back. But again, he only ran for 40 yards, right? So everybody's all excited, and it was 10 for 40, 4 yards a touch with a touchdown. But there were still things they need to fix. Now they're coming home. They usually play very good on the road, unless it's in the playoffs and against the Packers. So I feel like they should be a favorite. Marcus Lattimore has a hamstring injury. He's questionable to play for the Saints. But I have a feeling that this game is going to be closer than 6.5. I could see this being a field goal game.
How much of the Cowboys offense sputtering in the second half was it just being like a non-competitive, let's just get out of here with no injuries type of deal? Turpin returns the uh
If Turpin doesn't return the touchdown, we got puckered buttholes in the second half. I'm not gonna lie.
okay. But how
Um,
much of that is he did and it's 27-3, so you're not trying to
could be.
show too much on offense, you're just trying to, like, run the clock, get out of there, and focus on the
Yep,
Saints, and do you
it
think
could be,
that
but
kinda opens
again,
it up? Like,
like
you're like, "Alright,
that's where like the running game didn't really put it away, right? They
mm,
had 3 and outs. They had opportunities where they could have punt, where maybe they could have run the clock out. So that's what makes me nervous a little bit about this running game still. When Zeke had, 10 for 40, Rico Dowdle had 8 for 29, I think. Um CeeDee Lamb had 25 rush yards, right? So I think there's just things that need to be fixed. Now, the rookies on the offensive line were phenomenal.
yeah."
Cooper Beebe, first time ever playing center, Aiden, in a actual game. 36 attempts pass. He didn't allow one pressure. Tyler Guyton was the second highest graded rookie tackle behind Fawagu. He was ahead of Joe Alt. He had an 84 grade. So I mean, great start against that really good defensive line and Myles Garrett too. So I'm very positive about those rookies. I'm very positive of what I saw from Keelan Carson, the cornerback out there wearing 21. He was flying around. I'm like, who is that wearing 21? I'm like, is that Stephon Gilmore? Is that Deion Sanders? Like,
I
he
noticed
looked
him too.
great.
Yeah.
So defenses balling, they were thumping. So I think I don't know. I think it's the pessimism in me that's saying it's under a 6, where I could also be like, okay, they're coming home. They're fired up. They just beat up the Browns on the road. They're going to come home against a Saints team that maybe is inflated after beating up on a really bad team, and they're gonna, win this game 32-17 or something. I could
I
see it going either way.
I could see it being 32-17. The one thing with the Saints compared to the Browns, I think it's a team that's more sure of themselves. Like
Yep.
we don't need to go into Derek Carr dialogue. I think at this point every single NFL fan knows what he is, but I think they're sure of themselves and what they need to do to win. And there's a rededication to Alvin Kamara. So
Yep.
like
Which
when you
scares me.
watch that Browns team, the Cowboys defense was flying around, but I've
Yep.
never seen someone who is considered a good quarterback looked so lost than Deshaun Watson. And I think Derek Carr makes some bad throws. I can see this
Yep.
game being a place where the Cowboys defense gets 2 turnovers. They'll get
Yep.
3 sacks. Micah will have him looking confused. But I think there's a more certainty to what they want to do, which could lead them to points. It'll keep them in the game.
Yep.
They just don't have that overt firepower to stay with the Cowboys, even if, like you said, they don't have a huge running game. Like there's no CeeDee Lamb answer on the other
Yep.
side.
Yep. That's the thing. And I think this is a game where coming home, like CD had a very nice game, but Cowboys need a touchdown from CD this week. They need a big explosive play from him to get the crowd involved early. Um, and the other things that I'm a little, questioning, right, is Jake Ferguson, right? Jake
Oh,
Ferguson he's a big part of this offense. Dak loves going to his tight ends, right? He made a living of it with Jason Witten, with Dalton Schultz, and now with Ferguson. So Ferguson went down during that game, and it looked bad. I don't know if you saw it, but I was like, "Yep, that's his ACL. Like we're done." He was immediately holding the knee, needed help getting off.
it was awkward
Um,
looking.
Very awkward. So then after the game, they were saying, he's walking without a brace, he's only got ice. The next day, he tweets, "God is good." So it's like, is that a good thing, or does that mean like I'm trusting in God because I'm hurt? Like I don't. But it
It could
came
go either
out.
way.
You don't know. But it came out. It was only an MCL sprain, maybe a bone bruise. And he's week to week. Still has an opportunity to play in this game. Uh, we need him for the long run, guys.
Force it in week 2 would be, even if he
Yeah.
was 98% healthy, I don't know if I'd
Yep.
push it.
Like the only way I would want him to play is if like, okay, it's just pain. There's zero chance he can re-injure it. But with an MCL sprain, I don't know if that's the case. So
I think it's the exact opposite. I think if
yeah,
you keep, like if you sprain it, that is technically a tear.
yeah. So I'm gonna go on the more conservative side and say he's not gonna play. So who steps up for him in terms of tight end, right? They have Luke Schoonmaker, second round pick from last year. Um, he has not done anything for this team yet. Let's just be fair and face it. So does he step up? Span Ford, who was the unrestricted free agent from Minnesota, who they paid like $250,000 as a signing bonus to bring him in. He kind of, I would say, underperformed during camp. A lot of people thought he wasn't going to make this team, but he did, and he was out there in week 1 and a lot of the big packages. So does he step up? And then they have John Stevens, who is the tight end big boy who they loved last year. Had a season-ending injury, didn't get to perform at all last year. He was hurt also this past week. I think it was a hamstring, so he didn't get to play. If he makes his way back, does he step up? They're going to need someone in this tight end room with Jake Ferguson probably out to step up to kind of be that next guy. Now, I loved what I saw getting Brandon Cooks involved, right? I think they need to get Brandon Cooks more involved. He needs touchdowns. He had that beautiful touchdown. I thought it was one of Dak's best throws of the
Definitely.
day. But again, Jalen Tolbert was kind of silent. So again, it's like that wide receiver 3. Those are the things I'm really interested to see this week if they can start kind of clicking with other players not named CeeDee Lamb.
Or is it one of those games, if Marshawn Lattimore doesn't play, is it one of those
Mm-hmm.
games where you're like, okay, down our tight end.
Four speed.
Yeah, just kind of just okay. CD looks fine, back from the holdout. He's good to go. We saw that in Cleveland. Do we just do what we did in the Lions game and just say, figure out a way? We're going to
Yep.
target him 14 times. Figure out a way to stop it. where the
Yep.
game where he had like 12 receptions. It
Mhm.
kind of similar to what the Rams did on Sunday night, which was just beautiful if you watched it. Cooper Kupp having 21 targets,
Dude.
constantly in motion the entire game. Take that, put CeeDee Lamb and have at it. Without
Yes,
Marshawn
please.
Lattimore, tell that Saints defense good luck.
Yep. Have fun. Um, so yeah, rookies got to step up. This is listen, it's big in week 1 in Cleveland, right? But now you're home
Totally.
under the bright lights in Dallas again on Fox. You're going against I would say a formidable opponent. It's time to show the crowd what you do at home. So need the rookies and the young guys to step up. I would say too, something I was unbelievably extremely excited about, and that needs to continue forward for this defense. Not only Micah was an animal. I think he was probably the best player on the field
Oh,
all over the place. DeMarcus Lawrence was also great in this game, but the linebacker duo of Kendricks and Overshown was outstanding.
I thought,
Kendricks had an interception and 2 sacks. Overshown led the team with 13 tackles. I don't know if you saw that 4th down sack that he had.
yes,
That closing speed was unbelievable, Aiden.
that was insane. He made Micah Parsons look slow. I
Yep.
don't think that's ever happened in the history of ever.
They said he covered 15 yards in 2 seconds.
That imagine that imagine being Derek Carr and watching that on film. Like, what do you do?
You don't roll out.
Yeah, true. He'll launch it halfway down the field. Uh, he throws a pretty good moon ball that you never know
Mhm.
where that's going to land. But I
Mhm.
think about it like the way they try to utilize Taysom Hill sometimes. If you have guys that are like that becomes
Oh,
unnecessary. Like it becomes you can stop that. You can beat Alvin Kamara to the edge. When you have that level of speed coming at you with
yep.
Overshown and Micah Parsons, I feel like that straps half of what the Saints are trying to do.
100%. 100%. It just I I'm excited to see competent, great linebacker play again too after last year. Literally,
Same.
Marquise Bell, thank you for what you did last year, but you're a safety, and I enjoy seeing you play safety and having linebackers that can have size, have speed, can go make the plays.
Always nice. Always
Hmm.
nice when the people who play their positions play them well. I can very much
Hmm.
relate to seeing competent linebacker play and being totally refreshed.
Now, listen, this is my last point. At 6.5 point, like I said, I could see it being a 3 point game, or I could see them winning 32-17. Um, I'm terrified just because of what I just saw. Um, as a Notre Dame fan, they go on the road week 1 in a hostile environment, win a
Oof.
great game, and then they come home and lay an absolute complete egg. So I'm hoping that same thing doesn't happen to this team, because um, that can you imagine like being like, okay, listen, getting a guy, right? You trying to impress a girl, right, at a bar and be like, listen, I'm gonna pay you $1,000 right now, and I'm gonna start a bar fight, and I'm gonna beat you up. Like, okay, just so I look strong and tough in front of this girl. And then he beats the ever living shit out of you in front of her and takes your $1,000. Like,
It's
that's what happened with Notre Dame and NIU. Literally.
they punched you in the mouth right in front of the pretty girl at the bar, and you lost
And
$1,000
see ya. And the girl.
and the girl. Oh my
Oh,
god.
so I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I think the Cowboys should win this game. They are the better team. They are at home. The Eagles are going to be playing the Falcons, which at home, right, in Philly on
Right?
Monday night.
Monday night.
That should be a win for Philly. So you need to
Whoa.
keep pace.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What if we end up in the same boat as you? We look good week 1 and then fall on our face.
But wasn't that
Actually,
technically a home game, even though it was in Brazil too?
it was technically a home game for us.
So, um, so I think the Cowboys are going to win. I love the fact also, and this is my last point. Sorry, I lied. That Brandon Aubrey is such a weapon for this team, right?
Oh my god.
Especially at the end of games. Like, let's say you're down 2. Like, you really, and with this new kickoff rule, let's say you're starting at the 30 or the 35, you only need like 25 yards to get in his range.
Honestly, but that is literal. he hit that from 66 with ease. I can't believe they didn't let him try from
I,
71. And my
Mike,
plea is this week in the climate controlled AT&T Stadium, if there's a 70-yard attempt at the end of the half, let him do it. Let him
so
do it.
I guess the what I heard was they didn't want him to do it because of the stress that it might put on his leg, and they didn't want him to like hurt his hamstring or something. But I
Fair.
think he can hit that. But this was my biggest qualm of the entire game was not Dak Prescott missing Brandon Cooks on an easy 3rd and 4 out route. It wasn't, giving up a garbage touchdown at the end. I love the fact that they didn't let Amari Cooper go off on them. But
Yeah.
Mike, you had 2 timeouts. You can't take them over to the second half. Call the timeout so you don't get a goddamn delay a game there. What are we doing with the
It's
pump the no, just use a timeout.
it's crazy because it's technically his only job. He doesn't
Yeah.
call the plays. I think we
No,
talked.
he does call the plays now.
He does call the plays.
He does call the plays now. So he's not the offensive coordinator. They have an offensive coordinator, but the offensive coordinator doesn't call the plays. Mike does.
Okay.
So trying to figure that out. But somebody call a timeout, okay? Because you literally just wasted history there.
Honestly,
Now
it is
tied,
crazy across the league how good these guys have become at hitting just like 60-yard field goals. Both of our
especially
kickers
this
have hit
dude who
from 60
never played
before.
football before.
Yeah.
Just
Nonchalantly.
booming like. So Cowboys win at home. And I don't know how much better Tom Brady is. But let's move on to a very formidable booth with Troy Aikman and Joe Buck on Monday night.
Monday night, under the lights, Eagles Falcons, a position we know quite well with the Falcons playing in some nationally televised games with them. Should be an interesting game. Good to be back home. We'll see how we bounce back from being in Brazil on kind of like a mini bye. No serious injuries from last week. So, yeah, I listen, I can't ever say something good because if I say something good, then it
Yep.
immediately becomes bad.
Yep.
So I'm not going to say anything truly about how I feel this game should go. I'm just basing it off what I saw in week 1 and what history has shown me against the Falcons in recent years.
Fair
So
enough.
the biggest thing actually has nothing to do with the Eagles and everything to do with the Falcons. Did you watch that game on Sunday? The Steelers Falcons.
I did. I did parts of it
Okay.
on Red Zone.
It was on Red Zone. It was the nationally televised game.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do another year of the Falcons. I know it
Nope.
benefits me this week. I just can't do another year of this. This is absolute insanity. It is just doing the same thing again and again and respecting in a different result. I can't do it anymore, Kevin. I
That's the
cannot watch
definition
this
of
team be
insanity,
the
Aiden.
exact same.
The definition of insanity is the Atlanta Falcons.
The Falcons are the definition of insanity. If you were watching that game and thought, this looks predictable, this looks bland, this looks boring, it was. How is it that me, Aiden, who never played NFL football, never played D1 football, can sit on his couch watching Red Zone and know what play is coming? That
Mm-hmm.
is a huge red flag. If I am in the know, guess who else is in the know? The Steelers defense. I could
TJ
not
Watt.
believe it. I could not believe it. So, and all of the stats back it up. If you thought it was predictable and boring, it was. They didn't go under center one time. They did
Nope.
not run a single play action pass. If they were in shotgun, they threw it 100% of the time. And when they went in pistol, they ran it 86% of the time. It was as predictable as you could humanly be for an NFL team. And oh, yeah, it actually somehow gets worse because they had to go silent count in their
Mm-hmm.
own stadium. I think it might be loud at Lincoln Financial Field. They might have to do that again. TJ Watt
You think?
absolutely destroyed them. It could have been worse because he got one called back. He had a strip sack called back
Yep.
on an illegal hands of the face in the secondary, and one where he had a strip sack on an
Offsides.
offsides. And guess what? He wasn't even offsides
I
because of
know.
the silent
He
count. He
timed it
had a
perfectly.
tell. It honestly just looked illegal because he
Mm-hmm.
got off the ball so well.
Yep.
I can't believe how predictable and boring their offense was. Our pass rush, which has been a point of concern, has to feast this week if it looks
Yep.
like that again for the Falcons.
Yep. I will say the rookie this week that had the biggest upside after week one, not Brian Thomas, who looked well, or Malik Neighbors, or Tyler Guyton, not even, oh my God, who's your cornerback who
Quinyon
played
Mitchell.
every play? Yeah, Quinyon Mitchell. Like those guys, definitely not Marvin Harrison. Um, Definitely not Caleb Williams. But the number one guy whose stock rose after week one was Michael Penix.
Kevin, he can't go under center. I don't know if it's the Achilles or if it's age or what. They could only run like it was like the end of Roethlisberger again. It was insane.
I think maybe we're getting a peek behind the window now of why they took Michael Penix. And they
This
were
makes a
like,
lot.
they paid him, they got him in the building. They're like, it was like in the hangover. They paid him the money, they brought him in the building, they checked him out, and they're like, we fucked up.
Yeah, they're like, wait, this isn't Doug. We got the wrong Doug.
We fucked up. And they're like, up, all right, well, now we gotta go get Black Doug and
No,
get my
literally.
Michael Penix.
I couldn't. I genuinely couldn't believe it because it's a new year, it's a new coach, and admittedly, they did get their
Against
playmakers
their
involved
old coach.
against the old coach. Like their offensive line came in ranked 31st after the week, and I
Mhm.
don't know if it's them and they're bad, which it could be, or if it was just the predictability of the offense. But oh my god, like I need if Bryce Huff can't get going this week, it's not happening. We're gonna call it Jets and say let's pretend this never happened.
I think they are walking into a lion's den on Monday night because, yes, listen, the Eagles played, but they were in a different country. I think this Philadelphia fan base is so pent up for a game at Lincoln Financial Field, so pent up to see Saquon Barkley on that field in that jersey. I think it's going to be beautiful all weekend, which means
Mhm.
everyone's going to be outside drinking all weekend. It's a Monday night game. People are going to take off work Monday, drink all day. I don't know if the Phillies are home this weekend or not, but that's just
They
going
are.
to add more juice to it. That place is going to be hell on earth for the Falcons on Monday night.
And I don't know how they change it, but they're going to have to go silent count again. So if that was if that was your plan, if that was your move on the chessboard, this team should have 4 or 5 sacks. Like it's a miracle that Kirk Cousins was not sacked 8 times, and if the weren't for those flags, he quite literally would have been sacked 8 times.
This is one of those games, and I hate these type of games as a Cowboys fan, but one of those games, and you don't have to say it because it'll, but I know you think it, that it's just like there's no way the Eagles lose this game. Like there's games where it's like, okay, like
Yep,
maybe they shouldn't lose this game, but they could, like the Detroit game a couple years ago at home, Washington at home, but like the Vikings coming in for a night game in the NFC
oh,
Championship game. You just Case Keenum, you just like there's
just no.
no shot. That's this game,
It
I think.
it's fair because we only have the sample size of 1 week. So we saw the offensive firepower that the Eagles had, and I want to get into that compared to the offensive firepower of the Falcons. What's crazy, they the one thing that was different from last year was they did get it to their playmakers. Bijan Robinson had 20 plus touches. So we're
Yep.
done doing this absolutely insane thing where we
Yep.
pretend him and Tyler Algier are the same player and split the carries in the backfield. Like at
Yep.
least we're done with that. Kyle Pitts scored a touchdown. He had a
Yep.
solid target share. Like they tried to get him involved. Drake London only had 3 receptions for 15 yards, but again, like there was no time for Kirk Cousins because TJ Watt was in the backfield before the play started. So how much of that is just like because of that? So to me, it's going to be all on them.
Yeah.
Like if they continue to get their playmakers involved, but there's creativity in the offense, and Kirk Cousins looks like a little bit better, and they can shake things up where he can be under center, they can run play action. Then we start feeling like, all right, they can get a rhythm. There just was no rhythm on Sunday, to the point where it's like, all right, you know what you have to do as an Eagles defensive lineman, and Jalen Carter. The tape is it's similar to last year where it's not even like he's winning. It's kind of, I don't want to compare him to Aaron Donald. I know that's crazy. But you know how
Mhm.
Darnold had like some of the best like swim moves and stuff like that, and he just had great technique. And
Yep.
there was that viral clip of him playing with knives and stuff. Sometimes he would just bull rush guys and get to the quarterback. And
Yep.
sometimes Jalen Carter just absolutely bull rushes a guy and he's at the feet of the quarterback in 2 seconds. Like I could see that happening this week.
Did you see the video from Aaron Donald's wife this weekend?
That was awesome.
Of him just passed out on the couch like all of us. She's like, I think he's enjoying his retirement Sundays.
Truly cannot have a better career. 10 plus years in the league, paid well, Super Bowl winner,
Super. Yep.
first ballot Hall of Famer, chills on the couch, watches football like the rest of us. Like you could not
Mm.
ask for a better way to cap your career.
I love like this. I don't want to say this retirement class, but like some of these guys that like him and now Kelsey's just on top of the
World.
entire world.
Yep.
Like the Buffalo Wild Wings commercials, hilarious.
Yeah.
I
And
have no, I have a brother. They're like, well, he's not here. He's like, oh yeah, and how he is on Sunday Night Football, and shit, he looks good. He lost like all those offensive linemen. He lost weight and he looks great.
he looks good. I don't know if you saw the other commercial for his new beer company, but I
Yeah,
was like, this was a weird takeaway to have from two grown men washing a Cybertruck shirtless. But I was like, damn, he looks pretty good. He looks fit.
he looks good, and his brother's looking like the other way with the mustache and the Gucci hat. But that's it.
Yeah, that was an outfit. That was certainly an outfit. That's funny.
But can you
Yeah,
imagine like on a different? How cool was that though? Like they played on Thursday night. Now they're at the U.S. Open in a box watching the championship and watching football on their phone, just like all of us would be.
I was gonna say that is the most relatable thing of all time. It doesn't matter who you are as a guy. It doesn't matter who you're dating. Even if it's the most popular person in the world, you still put NFL Red Zone on your little tiny screen and check the scores when you're out.
I was giving my daughter a bath. Of course, her bath, like when 4:20, when I see 4:25, I'm like, oh God, that means the game's gonna be ending like literally during bath and bedtime. And like she was in the bath and I just had my phone propped up on the sink. And she's like, Daddy, what you watching? Are we watching football? I'm like, uh-huh.
Yeah, we are,
Yeah.
and we will be every Sunday here to
Yes,
January,
ma'am.
baby.
But
But no, so
mm,
just to finish that point, need something from Bryce Huff, obviously. That goes without saying. This could be
mm,
a potentially a huge week for him. Josh Sweat, it's throwing me off that his number's different. I was like, who's that? But
yeah,
I thought he played relatively well. Milton Williams, people were concerned about his snap count, but I noticed he got hurt at one point and he was
mm,
on the ground grabbing his leg. So I don't know if that played into his lack of snaps. And then just the same from Jalen Carter. Just blow things up. Jordan Davis
yeah.
played well in the run, but I don't expect him to get after the quarterback. But I thought he played relatively well. And then
And I
Felix
mean,
Hunt was inactive, which was a
mm,
surprise. I
mhm.
wonder if they know what they saw from the Falcons and say, all right, all hands on deck. We're throwing every weapon we got. You're active. Go get him.
And I would say also, I mean, for me, I watched the Eagles game at a bar with my wife, so
Yeah,
I
you did. You
wasn't
had a
like
great time.
we did have a good time. And we had a good time FaceTiming too a little bit, but I wasn't
Oh,
like
yeah.
locked in as like I was watching every play, but when you're like at a
Yeah.
bar, it's like, um so I missed a little bit, but the one person that flashed for me, it seemed like all game was N'Kobe Dean. Like I felt like I just kept seeing him on
Him
the
and
screen.
Zach Bond were so refreshing, and we always thought N'Kobe was capable if he could stay on the field. Well, you saw it. Like
Yep.
he just the size will always be an issue, but he knows where to be. Like
Yep.
it's refreshing to have a linebacker who he's going to be around the ball because he knows where the ball is going. And then Zach Bond, I mean, that's as legendary as a linebacker performance that I can remember in so long.
Yep.
15 tackles, 2 sacks, another guy that flashed all over the field for a lot of points of concern. You got a lot of A pluses out there.
Yep.
Linebacker Quinyon Mitchell, was that game one or is that Jalen
I know.
Ramsey? He was incredible. That play, that first play, and this will be a good test against Drake London, because I think Drake London is probably a step up from Christian Watson. We would agree, but he's also,
Yes.
like, he's not covering CeeDee Lamb yet, right?
Yep.
This is a
Yep.
good, like, elevate yourself. So I think if I'm watching a matchup this week of someone who could flash, it's Quinion versus Drake London. I had this conversation with my friend. What causes the crowd to go more crazy? A Quinion pick six or a Saquon burst one to the house?
Saquon, I think.
I think so too, but I think Quinion.
I think
I
it would
want to
be. I
see.
mean,
I want to see him continue to build. But
I
you're
think like
right.
a
Linebackers,
9.8 and a 9.9. Like I
yeah,
think it's that close.
on the Richter scale.
Exactly.
So yeah, a lot of good guys flashed. Let's keep that going in a matchup where they could, and I think it's a really good test for them. Having to be in coverage against Kyle Pitts, pretty solid receiver in Drake London for Quinion Mitchell, although he could be covered by Slay. And then Bijan, they like to pass to out of the backfield. So again, that goes back to, are your linebackers in place? Is your safeties in place? That'll be a really, really good matchup.
How quickly does Joe Buck say something like the Battle of the Birds in this game
Pretty quickly. Like
before kickoff?
probably when they're like doing the sky shot of the
Yep.
stadium when
Yep.
they're in Philly.
We'll be back right after these messages for the Battle of the Birds in Philly.
And I will say this, we've been playing a lot of like primetime games week 2 the past few years. I think this is the 3rd straight year, maybe even the 4th. There's nothing like that second week of September where it's not cold yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sellout. They show Philadelphia. It's beautiful outside. It's 65 at kickoff. Like, that just puts a chill down your spine. They've got the American flag across the field. Everyone's standing up. Sellout. First home game. Prime time. Let's get the business. Like, it sends a positive chill down your spine.
I think I remember years ago. I think it was week 2 also. Eagles Falcons, I think it was. And the Eagles, I think it was in Atlanta though. I think the Eagles ended up losing.
I remember this game.
And wasn't that it was like the one-handed interception by the linebacker
Nico
you guys
Alonso.
straight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kiko Alonso. Right? Didn't they lose that? Wasn't that like week 2?
I think it was week 1. That was our
Was it
first
week
game.
1?
Yeah. Monday Night Football against the Falcons.
Yeah, it was. I remember it was a night game.
I think that's the only stop we got was the one-handed interception in the end zone. They
That's
walked
insane.
us down all night. Yeah, Matt Ryan and the
Was
boys.
Byron Maxwell on that team too?
He was. It was the
Was
Byron Maxwell year.
Mark? Yeah.
Him trying to cover Julio Jones did not go too hot.
Yep. That was not so great.
Not the best.
But
Can't put those
this
vibes
year
out
goes a
there.
little bit different.
We got Quinion now.
Uh-huh.
To the offense, we could go pretty quick with them, but this is the most telling thing. They were the only team with both receivers went over 75 yards in receiving and had a rusher over 100 yards. Like, going into the season, if you could tell me everybody would eat like that and it would turn out the way it did, scoring 34 on the Packers,
Yep.
beautiful. Dream
Yep.
come true. Exactly what you're expecting. Keep that up. A plus.
Yep.
You know that sound on TikTok is like, fantastic. I'll take 14 more of them.
Yes.
That is me with the skill position players. The way they played was phenomenal. They each displayed their skill sets. Saquon being able to catch out of the backfield, having the explosion on the 30-yard runs, kind of just being able to, just be strong and run over guys and turn gains of, 3 into 7. AJ Brown with the long touchdown, but he also is just like, there's that when in doubt, in case of emergency, throw to him on a slant 3rd down. And at the end of the game, Devontae Smith being the closer, just go to your most sure-handed guy. It was a perfect display of skill position players.
It was. And then just get Dotson starting to get involved, and there's going to be problems.
I think he will this week. I could see this being the week, like, oh, let's take a deep shot. Oh, let's get him involved. Let's try something. And I don't, like I just said, I'm not complaining about the plan that they had. Get it to your top 3 guys. Make sure, see if anybody else can stop it. They couldn't on the Packers defense. But this week, I think they'll get Dotson involved.
Yep.
If we're looking to improve on week 1, everyone's going to say the turnovers. Like, the 2 Hurts interceptions were mind-boggling. Like, that, it is the literal stuff that we ran Wentz out of town for. But aside from that, you give him a B plus. He played pretty well. They won the game. The one thing that I'd like to improve on, The reads on the read option,
Yeah.
he messed it up like 6 times.
Yep.
And on that one interception, they were in 3rd and 12 because he messed up the read on 1st down.
Yep.
My hope is maybe it's kinda like the pitcher pitching to a new catcher. You're just getting used to the signs with each other,
True.
used to how they command the game. That's my hope. Uh, yeah, the reads just that just made no sense to me. It was a bigger head scratcher than the turnovers because I feel like sometimes those bad reads put them in bad positions
Oh, definitely.
where it was the only thing that seemed to stop the Packers was when Hurts made the wrong read. That was the only time
Yep.
they could put him behind
Mhm.
the sticks.
Yep. And I mean, you don't need things like that to hold you back if
Mm-mm.
you're the Eagles. When you have the skill positions, you have everything set. Those little things like that, you especially as a franchise quarterback, got to clean it up.
The little stuff, right? Like you
Hmm.
can't throw across your body on 3rd down, make the right read on the read options, trust Saquon, right? Like
Yep.
you saw, you're
Yep.
able to trust him. I thought there were times where he pulled it out of his stomach, kept it, and the defensive end sitting on you, which makes sense. Like you're a dual threat quarterback. They're going to be sitting on you a lot of those times. And
Amen.
he kind of pulls it, and the edge is sitting there waiting for him. Trust Saquon. And this is a game. I know you said like this just feels like they should win and everything like that. This feels like a game where they need you to beat yourself to stay in it. If you're
Yes.
making the right reads, if you're moving the ball, it becomes a lot tougher on that Falcons defense because if you're getting off the field, you're getting sacks, it turns into those long drives that we talked about, right? 5, 6,
Yep.
7 minutes down the field. Make the right reads. That'll eliminate turnovers. Let that offense flow. You have the better offense. It'll start to pile up on that team.
Absolutely. All right. So I think we're both leaning towards wins probably for our team. So before we get
Yep.
out of here, week one, let's do our power rankings quick before
Cool.
we get the folks out of here. We usually go 5 down to 1. I'm sure our lists are going to be pretty similar.
They are. We need Vince for some
Yeah, true.
ridiculous one to get him
For
popping.
the normal triangle. All right. I will let you begin at number 5.
At 5, I got my boys in the back. The Eagles, good win in Brazil. I thought the offense pulled it together after the first quarter. Saw some flashes from some questionable positions like linebacker and secondary. At 5, I got the Eagles.
For 5, it's actually the one team I have in here that did not win, but I have the Ravens. I still think they look extremely good. When you watch that game, the opening game on Thursday night against the Chiefs and the Ravens, it was like, yep, we're going to see this game in the playoffs. Like these teams are both going to be in the playoffs. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with. They are every year. I have the Ravens at 5 still.
At 4, I have the Texans. I am just buying more and more stock into this team. If that ship sinks, I'm sinking with it. I think the Colts are good. So that was a good on the road win to start the season. That kind of felt like a playoff game, too. They win 29-27. I got the Texans in my top 5.
4 for me. I have the Texans as well. I kind of
Ooh.
was back and forth here with the Bills. Thought that was a good win too, but I think like you said, the Indianapolis win on the road was a better win. Stephon Diggs showing up. We just the vibes are all right for that team right now. So I have the Texans at 4.
At 3, I have the Lions. There's a lot of gimmicky stuff with them. The beauty of them was in overtime when they needed it
9 straight.
most, they said, "We are going to run it down your throat, and there's nothing you can do. We're going to win."
Yep.
They told you what they were going to do, and they did it. And I respect that. So at 3, I have the Lions.
3, I have the Lions as well for the exact
Uh-oh.
same reason. 9 straight wins in overtime. They just punched them straight in the mouth and said, we're going to go win this game. The one thing for me, Dan Campbell, is this year you have to learn from what happened in the NFC Championship game. Sometimes you got to kick the field goal and take the points.
Agreed. At 2, I have the 49ers. That was an impressive, just absolutely shellacking of the Jets where they didn't have Ayuk, Trent Williams all summer, and then they didn't have Christian McCaffrey during the game, and it looks like they didn't skip a beat. They just totally dominated from the beginning of that game, but looks like the best team in the NFC.
2 for me, it's the 49ers as well for all those reasons, and as well as with Trent Williams, right? He just started practicing like 2 days before. 0 pressures on 33 dropbacks. His first time, I think, since like 2014. He gave up no pressures. Um, if healthy, this team is going to be a problem all season, but we saw them continue to be a problem even without Christian McCaffrey, who's probably going to be out again week 2. But that only means he's going to have fresher legs for the long run of the season.
At 1, The Chiefs. You can't go any other way. The defending Super Bowl champions, and they beat the Ravens at home. And the receivers look good, I think, is the most important
How
part.
did we allow them to get worthy?
I don't know. The Bills, I love you, Bills Mafia, but so when we look back at this decade, you're going to get a lot of blame for this Chiefs dynasty.
Last year was the year they were down a little bit, that the league kind of maybe could have got them, and they didn't, and now they're better.
Yep. We're in trouble.
Yeah.
We're in a lot of trouble.
That is a problem. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Hopefully you get outside this week if you're in the Northeast, because it is absolutely spectacular outside. Nothing but blue skies, 70s, light 80s, nice breeze, cool in the morning, cool in the evening.
Perfect.
Get outside and enjoy it, because once the weekend comes around, you're going to be locked inside watching football. Actually, not if you're me. I bring my TV outside and sit on my front porch. So enjoy it no matter what you do, because we are here for the long run. And we're going to blink. And once the 4:25 games are going to start, you're going to look outside. And it's going to be dark and 27 degrees outside. So enjoy the weather. Enjoy the early season football. We have a lot of great games coming up this week. And before you know it, we'll be here sitting talking about week 3. So make sure you're following us everywhere on social media, Birds vs. Boys Pod, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, anywhere you listen to podcasts, same name. And if you are watching on YouTube, if it's your first time, smash that subscribe button, like and comment. We truly do appreciate it. I will be back on Sunday for a recap game of the Cowboys. Aiden will be back Monday night for a recap of the Eagles, and we'll be back together next week previewing week 3.
Chris Hansen here, and I'm going to need you all to take a seat right over there and check out Birds vs. Boys.
I think you're completely right here, and I hate it.
Yep. Hey, idiots. Stop doing dumb things. I got 2 phones. Upset alert. Upset alert. I might go insane.
I think you're already there.
There's no hope. Hope is gone.
If this was an AFC North podcast, we'd be done in 15 minutes.
Bob Hope.
I'm going to drink bleach.
That is
the team you promised me you were going to be this year!
This is the Consciously Hopeful podcast.
I'll be watching.